back for more. You kick the raw. Represent everyone's you and I first. We're going to do a video on Moon and Leo. Operational. This metaphor 7-7. Walking a tightrope under the microscope. I begin to end the whole. Strings connected to a rope. Physical and spiritual split. Eyes closed, eye open. Aspirations. Dream to take form. Intuition, attraction. Our intellect, a separate dimension. Lucid dreaming. This matter is foreign. Never be foreseen. But path is foreseen. Stairway to heaven. We elevate again. Triple eight the time, space, matter in my hand. Matter at hand to span. Even care for the land. Open up forbidden eyes, attempts to block in sixth sense, conservation of a true life. This my birthright, what I was born with, my essence, born to defeat the misconception. They blocking our chakras, it's melting pot like molten lava. Acid imitate, you don't hear nada. Cause all I can be is a representation of myself. It's all perceptive, perception is how one I see it. Ask a God body, did you know he's nobody? Ask a God body, did you know he's nobody? It's how one I see it, it's how one I see it. Sunrise, gotta get it again. Fresh 24 to make Aurora Borealis, Paleophilosophy. Remember what you was meant for? More rum, 4 circles. Originally a spirit, forming an aura around beard again. Crystal clear, I sitting on top of foreheads. My moralist, this angelus, Sagittarius, they shooting stars in the sky. But the sky's the limit. One love, see love, I know. We living in our spirit, I know. In the sky, possibly beside, mortal I be. Ask a God body, did you know he's nobody? Ask a God body, did you know he's nobody? My life in the sight of God's memory. I'm walking a tightrope underneath the microscope. I begin to end the destitution. Common man place to solve the space. Time didn't exist until you let it. I'ma need some letters to cope this the rhetoric. Watch yourself, vision of 3. Third person knowing nothing so they know I can see. Every day, AK, the system, hate corruption. Let it pierce through your ear and conundrum. Facing fears, we redundant. God, we divulged in no less. Knowledge in abundance. Lord of the land when I'm roaming on this earth. Write your own raps, millions on the table. The mental, still trapped in stables. Lead a horse to drink, just that water you may sip. Flow like the water in the moon. Invariantly shift the earth through the 7 seas. Flow evolve, never eroded. Shit, we encoded what it's like. Do you need me to reappear again? Sapient, but my soul is infinite. Alright, let's get into it. We got the moon in Leo with the sun in Cancer, right? And this is a waxing moon we got going on. So, with the moon in Leo, everything hitting the fan or everything being expressed and things like that. And keep in mind, this expression that you actually are putting the vibration out, that's essentially what we're going to be waxing the moon towards. You know what I'm saying? So we have this new moon, and the new moon is essentially bringing us new vibrations or new emotions and things like that. And based on these new emotions, how are you actually putting this vibration out? And how is this vibration building for oneself? Essentially, with the moon in Leo, it's going to, keep in mind, it's going to square Mars and Uranus, which is in Taurus, right? So we're going to be able to square, we're going to be at that square alignment, that 90-degree angle. We're going to have pressure. It's going to be, do you want to express oneself and have everything hit the fan? Or do you actually want to stabilize your circumstances, situation? And that's essentially what we got going on. For one aspect of it, right? Because like I said, keep in mind, it's Mars and also Uranus being in Taurus, right? Squaring this moon in Leo. And like I say, the moon in Leo is everything hitting the fan. So it's like, are your intentions and your passions lined up in a logistical manner to the point wherever you at, when you actually express these things, doesn't make practical sense? And then also your individuality. Are you able to ground your individuality? And are you able to learn from being an individual and being rebellious to actually figure out how to express oneself properly? We also have the moon sextile in Jupiter, right? Jupiter being in Gemini, and Jupiter in Gemini is all about expansion, right? But keep in mind, it's in a debilitated space with Jupiter being in a opposite circumstance situation from Sagittarius. Being at home in Sagittarius, it's actually opposite to that Sagittarius energy being in Gemini. And keep in mind, the worst spot for Jupiter is Capricorn. So we aren't at that circumstance situation right now, but at this point in time, with the moon in Leo, we're going to see the opportunity for to express ourselves and things like that, and to have this expansion and things of that nature. So keep in mind that you don't want to actually just express oneself in a circumstance situation that seems wise right now and seems like the right puzzle piece. No, you actually want to analyze things and be more practical about how your circumstance situation is playing out. But yeah, moving forward, we have also the moon sextile and Lilith, and Lilith is just now entering Libra, right? So with this being said, Lilith is all about your darkest moment or most embarrassing circumstance situation, and essentially with it being in Libra, it's going to be a darkest moment of our relationships or our logistical ways of, I'm saying, expressing oneself and getting that practical circumstance situation across, being that air, right? And being a cardinal air, we're going to initiate and create new ways of seeing ourselves being embarrassed in communications and relatability and things like that. So essentially, we're going to see our darkest moment be played out, you know what I'm saying, whenever the moon first entered it. You know what I'm saying? Moon first entered Leo, you know what I'm saying? It's going to have that sextile to Lilith being at 0 degrees whenever the moon in Leo is at 0 degrees. If I'm not mistaken, based on being in the Eastern time zone, you know what I'm saying, we are in a circumstance situation that we're at the 9th degree of Leo right now, right? And keep in mind, whenever the moon first whenever the moon first entered Leo as well, it also had the opposition to Pluto being at 1 degree. You know what I'm saying? So we're having this opposition, which is adding on or opposing to our deep transformation and change and things like that. So essentially, are you expressing oneself in a circumstance situation that's tumultuous, or just actually in a space that, okay, I'm transforming for the betterment of oneself? That's essentially what you want to keep your mind on and things like that. And then moving forward, like I say, we have the moon squaring Mars and Uranus. That's what I mentioned a second ago, which is all about learning to practicalize and stabilize one circumstance situation based on the expression. So it's either you're learning from this in this circumstance situation, or you're on the lower octave and you're kind of just being willy-nilly and just go ahead and express yourself in any circumstance situation you feel comfortable with and things like that. So it could actually be in a circumstance situation based on us having the moon conjuncting Mercury, right? It's in a circumstance where we're kind of in that narcissist kind of energy and things like that, to the point where if we feel comfortable with it, then we have our minds on the right thing, you know what I'm saying, and we feel comfortable with what's on our mind, and essentially we express that and things like that. And it might be in that circumstance situation where we're only seeing ourselves shine. We're not actually keeping in mind that there's other people, you know what I'm saying, having awareness amongst this Leo energy and things like that. They're also in that circumstance situation where they're putting themselves first as well. So essentially, if you're not making yourself feel comfortable with your expression, then essentially other people are probably not going to feel too comfortable with your expression as well. And keep in mind, shout out to Dolo the Pilot Man on this. He kicking some real good game about this circumstance situation. You know what I'm saying? Based on the moon being at home in Cancer, right? And then the sun being at home in Leo, it only has a sole ruler. You know what I'm saying? Meaning that Leo is only ruled by the sun and Cancer is only ruled by the moon. So these two alignments and these two signs are kind of in a circumstance situation where we kind of keep to ourselves in a circumstance where we only see ourselves in that circumstance. Like if you're not making the Cancer feel comfortable, then it's a non-beneficial circumstance for oneself. And if you're not allowing Leo to shine, then it's kind of in a space where the Leo is going to be like, oh, you know what I'm saying? There should be a circumstance situation where I should shine and things like that. But yeah, moving forward, with that being said, we also have the moon trining the north node being in Aries and also Chiron being in Aries, right? So the trine is a 120-degree angle and the creation of an opportunity or a gift, right? So we're going to have the gift to express ourselves, to then be in our purpose and things like that. So like essentially, if you know your own purpose and you know what you're working towards, you know what to actually express, and you're having that gift to express oneself and things like that and feel comfortable in that expression to actually bring yourself towards your purpose. And then Chiron being here, Chiron is the wounded healer. So essentially we're having the gift to be our own individual or feel comfortable being that individuality, but also knowing that if we become this individual and we are in this individual space, then it could be a space that we're actually being looked down upon or saying being wounded upon and things like that, being wounded with this energy. So Aries is that individual energy, and the Leo is all about being in that expression and things like that. I'm gonna go ahead and read a little bit of these comments. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's just y'all just kind of like talking amongst yourself, and that's cool. You know what I'm saying? But oh, yeah, the convo is about the moon in Leo with the sun in Cancer. We got an actual relevant question. And with this being said, I'm gonna keep on breaking down the alignments, and then we're gonna go ahead and get into the rising signs. And I'm gonna break down each rising sign and how this individual energy, pardon me, how this energy is interacting with oneself and things like that based on your personal life. Right? So your first house is your individuality, your personal affairs, and what you're individually known for, and things like that, and how you actually come off in your first expression, so to speak. That's essentially what we're going to get into after I finish up the alignments, right? And like I mentioned earlier, we had the moon opposing Pluto whenever it first entered into it. So keep in mind, whenever we have the moon in Leo or any Leo alignment, we're going to have this opposition to Pluto in a circumstance, a situation where we're either transforming ourselves for the betterment of oneself, or we're actually, I'm saying, kind of being narcissistic and staying in a space that actually isn't bettering oneself, but we're seeing ourselves in a space where, okay, I feel comfortable with this expression based on the moon or the Mercury being here. I'm thinking this is the proper thing, but is this actually going to be something beneficial for the long term and things like that? But yeah, moving forward, with the rising signs, if you have Leo in the first house, that's going to be all about your individuality at this point in time and your personal affairs. So essentially, do you feel comfortable with your personal life, or do you feel comfortable being that individual self? And keep in mind, like I say, we have Mercury being here, so you're going to be having thoughts and communication about your personal life or your personal affairs, and that's what's going to be going on. You know what I'm saying? Moving forward, the Cancer rising is having the second house being Cancer rising is having the second house in Leo, and the second house is all about your values of a person, place, thing, or idea. And keep in mind, we also have the Sun being in Cancer and also Venus being in Cancer, right? Venus is just finishing up in Cancer, and it's about to be in a circumstance, a situation where it's about to enter into Leo. So keep that in mind. Next time the moon enters into Leo, we're going to have the moon conjuncting Venus, right? But at this point in time, Cancer has it in their first house, right? And based on that circumstance, situation, whatever vibration you're putting out, it's either you value those emotions to the point where you actually want to express them. I'm saying now we have this waxing moon left out. I'm sorry, pardon me. We had the new moon in Cancer, but now we have this waxing moon in Leo. So it's essentially, do you feel comfortable with that vibration that you actually started out with the new moon? And do you want to carry that out into that expression of the moon in Leo, right? And that's essentially what you want to keep your mind on. And moving forward, Gemini rising, Gemini sun, Gemini moon. I like to break this down because if you have the sun in Gemini, this also applies to you based on the circumstance and situation. This energy is also applicable, you know what I'm saying? But it's essentially based on the rising sign, just to be clear. But with the sun, you know what I'm saying, you're going to be able to see your actions and how those actions are being put out in the environment and things like that if you have a Gemini sun sign. But if you have a Gemini moon sign, that's going to be all about your reactions and responses. So essentially, how do you react and respond in your environment based on the moon in Leo, right? That's what I'm getting into. But I'm saying, yeah, I don't know if you like trolling or if you actually having some real questions at the circumstance situations. So I recommend leaving a donation if you actually want me to answer your question and things like that. But yeah, moving forward. Oh, dag, my fault. You might have to hit me in the Cash App, and I'll provide that next time and things like that. And so that way y'all can leave questions and things like that, and I'll make sure I answer them. But just to go left field, because I'm kind of a little flunked out with that circumstance situation. How come twins can have vastly different personalities if the positions of the celestial bodies are opposed, are supposed to affect things like that, according to me, according to you, is what he said. You know what I'm saying? So keep in mind there's a such thing as fraternal twins. Like y'all could be born at the same day and things like that. And it actually, like, you have completely different circumstances and situations, like you look completely different. So I could just leave it at that, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I feel like you just kind of being a troll and you just kind of on some left field stuff. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and keep on going to my circumstance situation and my breakdown of this, right? So keep in mind, Gemini is a sextile to Leo, right? So the Gemini rising is seeing the opportunity in their environment to actually express oneself. And keep in mind, Gemini rising has Jupiter being on their rising sign or on their first house. So you have an expansion in your personal life to then in turn express that that Leo energy and things like that being in the third house. So you're seeing the opportunity to have this expression be played out. And Taurus rising is having the fourth house being a Leo, and the fourth house is all about your privacy, your home, and you know what I'm saying, and things close to your heart. And the fourth house, you know what I'm saying, is a square to the first house. So more expressive in their home and things like that at this point in time, or they're feeling more comfortable in their expression amongst their home and things of that nature. So essentially, on the higher octave, you feel comfortable expressing yourself in your home and things like that. In the lower octave, you feel uncomfortable expressing your, you know what I'm saying? Astrophysicist is like a fake thing, you know what I'm saying? Y'all are pretty much just copying astrologers to keep it a buck. You know what I'm saying? Who are you? Neil deGrasse Tyson, you know what I'm saying? Neil deGrasse Tyson looking ass, you know what I'm saying? Y'all just be really like supporting Masons and things like that and having all the symbolism in y'all background and things like that, act like we don't know. You know what I'm saying? Y'all just be really doing Jewish art. But yeah, all right. You know what I'm saying? It's funny because, like, you're talking about Thor's decree, and Thor is Jupiter. So it's like, do you even know that? It's like, you flunked out. But yeah, it's kind of funny. You know what I'm saying? People like, people like that just make me laugh. But yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and do your thing, man. But I recommend you having your own channel, you know what I'm saying? Actually, you know what I'm saying? Speaking your astrophysicist talk, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we talking about these celestial bodies. It's really just atmospheres, you know what I'm saying, and things like that. And based on us being in certain atmosphere is what our circumstance situation is actually playing out. You know what I'm saying? You see, look, bro, just sounded stupid. But yeah, we're going to stop focusing on dude. But yeah, moving forward, and like I'm saying, Taurus is having also Mars in their first house and Uranus in their first house. So essentially, you're being passionate in your personal life, and you're also being an individual and things of that nature. Because you just asking stupid shit, you know. So that's why. And I'm address this question. I'm asking questions. Why won't you directly engage with them? Not a troll. Yeah, all right. You know what I'm saying. But yeah, whatever. That's cool. Moving forward, we having the Aries rising, you know what I'm saying, having the fifth house being a Leo. And the fifth house being a Leo is all about the expression, like I say, and Aries is having the gift to express themselves, you know what I'm saying, things like that. And with that being said, they also have Chiron in their first house, and they also have the North Node, you know what I'm saying? So the individuality and things like that. And this wounded aspect of oneself is also having the circumstance, the situation be played out in their personal life. So essentially, they're having the gift, the Aries is having the gift to actually express oneself and feel comfortable in that expression on the higher octave, or you feel uncomfortable in that expression on the lower octave. And then just finish it up with the, like I was saying, with the Taurus energy. Mars is the intentions and passions and things like that. And Uranus is that individuality and that rebellious energy. So essentially, Taurus is looked at as a very passionate and rebellious individual at this point in time. And keep in mind, you're going to either have that opportunity to learn from that expression and things like that on the higher octave, or learn from that, you know what I'm saying, way of non-expression and things of that nature. But yeah, moving forward, the like I say, the Aries is having the Chiron and also North Node in their first house. So, like I say, Chiron is the wounded healer, and the North Node is being your purpose, or it's something that's an uncomfortable circumstance situation, because the uncomfortable circumstances create growth. And based on the South Node, it actually is in a circumstance situation of comfortability. So, with this being said, um, the North Node being in their first house, like I say, they're on their own individual purpose. Then moving forward, the Pisces rising is having the sixth house being in Leo, and the sixth house is all about your work, routine, and your pattern, and also your health. And keep in mind, Pisces has Saturn in their first house and also Neptune. And this is an in conjunction. Pisces may misunderstand how to actually express oneself or feel comfortable in this expression. But yeah, moving forward, like I say, you're either feeling comfortable expressing yourself amongst your work or your routine and pattern, and being in this routine and pattern of expressing oneself. You know what I'm saying, and keep in mind, you actually are on a higher octave if you're actually feeling comfortable in your work and things like that, and being amongst, you know what I'm saying, your work associates and things like that, and having the proper routine and pattern to actually be played out. And the Pisces may misunderstand this, like I say, with that 150-degree angle, based on I'm saying Pisces is that Jupiterian energy. They like to be all over the place and things like that, and kind of adapting to whatever they feel like adapting to. So like with this being like them being that mutable water, right? So they want to adapt to others' emotions and feelings and things of that nature, and things like that. So they don't actually have themselves in that fixed, I'm saying, circumstance situation. So essentially, the Pisces wants to keep their mind and focus on what they can actually continue to work on to actually bring about their dream. So keep this in mind that they have the sixth house in Leo, right? That means they have the 12th house being Aquarius, right? So essentially, you want to be able to work with that transformation that you got going on between your sixth and your 12th house. So with this being said, you want to work on something that can actually bring you a circumstance situation where your dream can be accomplished. You can actually have a long-term kind of routine and pattern that you can work with. So essentially, as a Pisces, you just don't want to misunderstand too much. I'm saying misunderstand that you expressing yourself is actually a beneficial thing. But then moving forward, the Aquarius rising is having the seventh house being in Leo, like I say. And with this seventh house being in Leo, it's all about the opposition or adding on. So you can either add on or oppose to this Leo energy and add on to the expression, you know what I'm saying, in this and be more relatable, or you can oppose it. You know what I'm saying, based on some people being so narcissistic that you essentially have to be like, hey, look, get out your own little feelings and things like that, because that's non-logical and that actually doesn't make practical sense. And keep in mind, you also have Pluto in your first house. So you're also being a very transformative individual in your personal life, and there's a lot of transformation going on in your individuality. So then moving forward, the Capricorn rising is having the eighth house being in Leo, and this eighth house being in Leo is all about the behind the scenes secrets and transformations. So either you feel comfortable expressing yourself amongst these secrets, you know what I'm saying? So essentially, whatever you've transformed behind the scenes, now you feel comfortable kind of putting that on the forefront and being in a circumstance situation where you may misunderstand, you know what I'm saying, that if you express yourself, it could actually be beneficial and things like that. Because the Capricorn likes to be more logistical and practical, initiate and create new ways of being practical, you know what I'm saying, things like that. But essentially with this Leo energy, you want to be more in a fixed energy of being consistent upon transforming oneself to actually benefit, you know what I'm saying, things like that. And having this expression become, you know what I'm saying, more transformative for yourself and others, you know what I'm saying, things of that nature. And keep in mind that you have Pluto kind of like just leaving your circumstance situation, because yeah, it's at 1 degree. So that 28, 29, 0, 1, and 2 degree is all that cusp energy. So essentially, we're going to have Pluto kind of playing both sides in between Capricorn and Aquarius. But I like to kind of break it down more of it being in Aquarius and things like that, because that's going to be our future circumstance situation. And also keep in mind, it also is going to retrograde back into Capricorn for the last time, I'm saying, this year. Pluto being what I'm talking about at this point in time, I'm saying. In Capricorn, you have to be in a circumstance situation where you feel comfortable in your personal affairs and things like that, and your individuality, and you feel that you've actually transformed yourself for the better. But yeah, like essentially, like I say, you either feel comfortable expressing what you've transformed in your life and things like that, or you feel uncomfortable and things of that nature. You actually don't want to put yourself on the forefront based on what you've actually transformed in who you're becoming and things like that. So like keep that in mind, that Capricorn had the seventh house in the new moon, you know what I'm saying, based on Cancer, and then that relationship and things like that you're having this new experience in, you then want to have this now transformation go on to actually have a more beneficial relationship. And keep in mind, you're also going to have the full moon being experienced in your first house towards the end of this Cancer season. So essentially, it's going to come back around and be in this relationship space once again, and be in a space where, okay, do I feel comfortable in my relationship in the way I'm taking action based on the Cancer sun, you know what I'm saying? And then you're going to have the Capricorn full moon. You're going to see, okay, am I actually satisfied in what I've actually logistically and practically accumulated? Moving forward, the Sagittarius rising is having the ninth house being in Leo. And the ninth house is all about your morality, your knowledge, wisdom, and experience, and also travel. You know what I'm saying? So essentially, the Sagittarius is going to have the gift to actually express themselves and express the morality and things like that, and you feel comfortable with it on the higher octave, or you feel uncomfortable with it on the lower octave. So essentially, if you plant a bad seeds, then you're going to be in a circumstance where your knowledge and wisdom doesn't actually travel, so to speak, or you're not actually able to travel and kind of like spread your message, so to speak, because Sagittarius is the mutable fire, the fire that likes to expand and things of that nature, is different from the Aries and the Leo. The Aries is the fire that sparks. The Leo is kind of more of the campfire, so to speak. So Sagittarius is like, well, think about it like the campfire that everybody likes to gather around. But after everybody's left the campfire and things like that, and the fire's like actually expanded, and I'm saying the smoke is kind of drifted and things of that nature, that's the Sagittarius and that warm feeling that everybody got from that experience and situation. The funny thing is, like, it's not a belief. This dude is just wilding out, like talking about he's not a troll, but he's the only one talking to himself. He said, how did you come by believing all this stuff?" Well, first, let's keep it a buck. Do you see a flying spaghetti monster in the sky, or do you see the sun and the moon? That's the question you got to ask yourself. So it's not a belief. If we're gonna leave you in here because you just sounded stupid, and like I like letting people make themselves sound dumb. I like letting people make an ass of themselves. So that way you can be an example for others not to make an ass of themselves and things like that. So yeah, keep it a buck. You know what I'm saying? Which one do you see? The sun or the moon? Or do you see a flying spaghetti monster? That's the question you got to ask yourself. Do I see Buddha every day, or do I see the sun? This is the question you got to ask yourself. Moving forward, Scorpio rising is having the 10th house being in Leo, and Scorpio and Leo is a square. So the Scorpio is going to learn how to express themselves and have their status being expressed on the higher octave, or they're going to learn to be more recluse and things like that if you're on the lower octave, and learn that, oh, you know what I'm saying, the more I express myself, the more my ego just gets shot down, and the more people actually know about me, and the more revealing it is. So essentially, you're going to have, like I say, the 10th house is all about the status, the blueprint, or your career. You're going to be learning to work more towards your career on the higher octave, or you're going to have, I'm saying, a career troll like this guy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, this is pretty funny. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, keep in mind, you know what I'm saying, they don't have any other energy participating with the Scorpio energy, with the Scorpio sigil or sign, if you don't want to use the word energy. But yeah, moving forward, like you don't have a planet or anything like that in Scorpio at this point in time. And moving forward, oh, you got this dude. Do you think? Hey, look, it's funny because like we all know that you believe the Earth is flat. That's why you asking this question. You is stupid. Like at the end of the day, the Earth is. I'm gonna give you some knowledge and wisdom. The Earth derived from the water. The water didn't derive from the Earth. That's a little bit of food for thought for you. You know what I'm saying? So keep that in mind. How could it be flat if it's just, you know what I'm saying, in a circumstance situation where it's in the water? So yeah, just keep that in mind. There's more water than there is Earth. A little bit of food for thought for y'all stupid people. Moving forward, like I said, the Libra is having the 11th house being in Leo. So it's all about the sextile for the Libra. So they're seeing the opportunity in their associates and things like that to actually express themselves. Do you feel comfortable around your associates expressing oneself? And that's pretty much as simple as it'll get. Or you feel uncomfortable expressing yourself in the associates, with your associations, or in public places. So also keep in mind, you have the South Node on your rising sign, and you also have Lilith entering into your rising sign. So essentially, you're going to be in a circumstance situation where you're actually in a space where you kind of need to shed one's own personality and things of that nature in a space that, I'm saying, being the South Node. The South Node is more of your comfortable space or complacency. I'm saying you might be not being able to give away with all that slick talk you used to be doing. I'm saying things like that. And it also is going to become this darkest moment because you also have Lilith being here. You're going to become kind of more embarrassed by people actually realizing what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? Just try not to be so slick at this point in time, Libra. Like, them things that you was getting away with 6 to 8 months ago, you ain't really gonna get away with it now. People is picking up on what you putting down. You know what I'm saying, you acting like, you know what I'm saying, you making it sound nice. People is picking up on it at this point in time. And last but not least, Virgo is having the 12th house being in Leo, right? And the 12th house is all about dreams, illusions, and also endings, you know what I'm saying? So you may have a new accumulation in this circumstance situation where you actually feel comfortable expressing your dream, or you feel comfortable actually expressing that you want to end things and things like that with a circumstance situation. Or you may be actually expressing an illusion and things like that. You might be a little bit delusional at this point in time in your actual expression. So as being the Virgo rising, at this point in time, you kind of want to keep more in a space of, I'm saying, maybe expressing your actual dream or writing down your dream that you actually just experienced in your sleep and things like that. And you see, kind of like analyze and like, is this actually a space that I can actually understand and comprehend? And does this actually connect, like puzzle piece wise? So essentially, like the Virgo is feeling comfortable expressing their dreams, or they feel uncomfortable expressing their dreams based on it being in more of a delusional space. And the Virgo is kind of having like has a beneficial circumstance and situation whenever there's energies in their 12th house, because the Virgo is more analytical and things like that. They're able to actually think like, wait, does this make practical sense? If someone said this to me, would it actually make sense and things like that? And that's kind of what you want to keep in your mind. So yeah. Much love and holla back if you, and peace and love if you believe in all that. You know what I'm saying? If you was looking for astrological reading, you could go ahead and tap into my comments and saying and things like that. Or you could email me and things like that. Saying for a natal chart reading or a progress chart reading, or if you just wanted to get a certain house, you know what I'm saying, explaining things like that, which is the house is just the areas of life. So yeah, much love and peace if you believe in all that, you know what I'm saying? Up to you, you know what I'm saying? You don't got to actually have peace and love forever.